Hi, everyone. My name is Dave Stradamus, and if you want to make money in crypto, listen to me and not my co-host, who told you that Bitcoin would be at $64,000 today, and yet here we are at that 58K level that I was preaching on Friday. So if it's your first time, welcome. Hi, Robin. How's 64K looking, buddy? Good?
Market goes one direction or the other. Can't be right all the time.
Oh, okay. Okay, wasn't Nostradamus right majority of the time?
No, he also said the world was going to end in 2020
That wasn't Nostradamus.
or 2021 or 2022.
Anyways, guys, Bitcoin is down, but our spirits are up. There's a lot happening in the crypto space. We have some Chainlink news to share with you. We have a brand new indicator in conjunction with Lux Algo. Excited to share that with you today. It is something that could potentially help you earn a lot of money in a simple and easy way. We're going to share that with you. We're going to take a look at the markets. What are some good pickups now if you have any money left over? We have a lot to talk about. So with that being said, let's not waste any time and let's get right into it.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused crypto channel where we take old, boring, stale information, repackage that thing up in a fun and sexy way. You know, Bitcoin was down to 57.5 a few hours ago, and
Wow.
now it's up to 58.
Oh my God, I am still closer than you
We are on the way, baby.
I am still closer than you are. That's all I'm saying. You know, I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy, the Englander, who posted this. Said, me.
The Englander.
Yeah, he's part of our community.
Ah.
Looks like David might have been right, unfortunately. But what makes me happy is Rocco was closer than you were. Rocco said 61. You said 60. So you were the one that was most off. Anyways, I had to get that out there. Been waiting all weekend to say that.
You know, can't get them all right. You know?
Right.
Well, I got like a 85, maybe 95% like hit rate on on
for
nailing
sure.
my calls.
Yeah, and then
And every once in a while, every once in a while, I swing and miss. It's
and
fine.
once Bitcoin doesn't get to 90K by the end of this month, that'll be another one. What would that bring your percentage down to? Like 70%, 65%? If it's even that high to begin with.
Bro, this dude got one call over the weekend correct, and now it's like he's about to go buy a new car.
Don't act like if the roles were not reversed, you wouldn't be coming up in here trying to clown me. You know you would.
He's over here popping champagne with his wife, just like it's the greatest
We
day
made
ever.
it. We made it, babe. We made it. Man. So, what's your thoughts on what happened over the weekend? We know we typically see a lot of volatility on Sundays, but this Sunday, you know, I don't want to use the word, but there was another attempt on President Trump. Some people are saying that might potentially be the reason why. And
You
let me.
think so? No.
I don't know. Well, here's a headline article. We'll
I think it's people trying to take advantage of market conditions for the Fed rate cut. I think that people are expecting a rate cut. Maybe they got a little overzealous. They're expecting the 50, maybe 75 basis points, which we know that ain't gonna happen. But and I think it's just the smart money front running the news, right? And so, or the rumor. So
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so you take a look here. Second attempt on Trump causes Bitcoin to drop. It dropped 3%, went from 60,300 to 58.6. I still don't think it would have gotten, all jokes aside, I still don't think it would have gotten all the way to that 64K level. There just wasn't enough follow through. Right, the price spiked up, and then I was like, okay, let's see how 60K, 60.5 holds up, and it kind of teetered there. But could it have gone up? Sure, and then this happened. Bitcoin went down. You got to remember too, Rob. There's only one market really that's open on the weekend, and it's the crypto markets. And so, if something happens over the weekend and investors decide to go risk off, and they hold crypto, where else are they going to go risk off?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's 100% non-factor, but it's a 99% non-factor, in my opinion. I think it's more market conditions. I think what we saw was the Asian markets open up early this morning, which also coincided with the kind of the spill off from 58,000 down to the 57. And so I really just think it's people speculating on the Fed rate cut. And I think that it's over. I think it was overbought maybe over the weekend. I think maybe we were supposed to hang out at 58,000 and we got up to that 60,000. And I think that the market conditions just I don't know, man. What do you think is going to happen to okay, let me ask you this. What do you think happens to the price of Bitcoin if we get a 0.25 rate cut? The standard kind of as I know a lot of people are hoping for the 50 basis, but what happens if the rate cut is just 0.25?
I think Bitcoin's price goes up. If it's 50, I think it goes down. And I'll tell you why. Because I'll explain to you why. People, right? Why do the FOMC, when you look at some of the people that cover the FOMC, I think Tom Crown does a great job. He gets that's his best show every month. He does the FOMC show. CNBC, right? Everyone that airs it because people want to know what the Fed is thinking, what they're looking at. And I think if they go 50 basis point rate cut, that's going to tell the investors that something is wrong. Maybe they know something or they got some numbers that we don't see. Why else would they cut 50 basis points when the market is still up? I think people will take that information and they'll try to extrapolate it out. And then be like, okay, maybe something is wrong. Oh my God, let me get out. Let me take risk off the table versus a 25 basis point rate cut. They're like, okay, well, they're trending down slowly towards lower interest rates. So that's where I think is going to happen. I think in the long term, obviously, cutting rates and making borrowing cheaper and making money easy, obviously, historically has benefited risk on assets, especially the most speculative ones, including some altcoins, and then you can throw Bitcoin in there as well.
Did you see? And the thing is I'm not sure what direction the Fed rate cuts will push the market. I'm more inclined to think that if we get to 50 basis points, that we'll get a rally out of Bitcoin and the stock market. I think people will just be like, hey, you know what? 0.25 was the expected. Came in with a larger rate cut. Borrowing is fundamentally cheaper now, and you're trying to spur the economy and you're trying to spur spending. And so for that reason, I think that bodes well, even in the very short term for Bitcoin. But on a side note, did you see Elizabeth Warren and two other senators came out and are proposing that we get a 0.75 basis cut, 75% cut? You know what's so funny is that, I talked about this before. Now, I don't know how much weight this holds, but I think it was about 2 weeks ago. Me and you were having a conversation, and the conversation was, will the election influence the rate cuts? And you were adamant on a no. You were like, no. They're separate. They're not going to do it. And I was like, bro, we are in an election year. We're getting closer. We got the first rate cut meeting coming. I'm like, they're going to pressure the Fed to cut rates dramatically, so that way it bodes well for the economy and it is more likely to get a re-election, to get that last little bump in the economy and say, look, Kamala's here. The tides are turning. We don't need Trump, right? I think that's what we're seeing right now. Whether or not this falls on deaf ears, maybe this goes nowhere, or maybe they were thinking about doing the 0.25 rate cut. And you have senators here, because we know she's got no problem making backdoor phone calls. Elizabeth Warren had private meetings with Gary Gensler prior to a congressional hearing and told him what questions she was going to ask.
And how to respond.
Yeah. Is it that far-fetched to think that the same people would have a meeting with Jerome Powell and be like, hey, can you do us a favor?
It's definitely not far-fetched. I just don't think he would do it.
I think the power manipulation, backdoor favoritism, and there's so much corruption in politics, right? So many people are in each other's pockets. So many people are doing.
Powell is a Republican, I might add.
It doesn't matter, man. there's
When you're talking about politics swing,
no, I
right?
get that he was put in by a Republican,
But he is
candidate.
also Republican.
Yeah, I understand that, but money and power talks, right? And if you think that Republicans won't take a handout or a favor from a Democrat, you're crazy.
So you think they're going to try to pay him to cut rates?
No, but there's all kinds of different incentives, right? Hey, you know what?
We'll give you an airdrop, Jerome Powell.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. Like, let's just keep it on your narrative, right? He's Republican, right? What happens if Kamala wins? Is she going to get a new Fed chair?
Probably.
Oh, well, what if he cuts rate aggressively and she wins? And she says, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you cut some rates?
I'll keep you there.
Yeah. What is that crazy, man? That's what I'm saying.
It's not
That's
crazy.
That's
I never said no. My point is not what you're saying is outlandish. Is it possible? Absolutely.
I would see where I get at is here. I would like to have faith and belief that our system would work in a fair manner that without corruption and
you should get off
favoritism.
of that. You should get off that.
But so with off that mentality, for me, I just look at, hey, we are like 50 days away from the election, and we got a rate cut coming in, and 3 of the senators, who all happen to be Democrat, happen to be saying with a public, with a letter that they drew up and a public statement, said, hey, we want you to cut 0.75. And then you also got Trump on the other side saying, hey, let's not cut rates. You're trying to influence the election. So it's very interesting, man. Very interesting.
Well, you've publicly touted the influence BlackRock has, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's BlackRock. They don't think the Fed's interest rate cuts will be as deep as everyone expects. So it's, the Fed, the CPI numbers came out, the jobs numbers came out. Every month they're revising those job numbers down. Unemployment, I believe, stayed the same. Job openings went up. We've had a lot of layoffs. We've had some bankruptcies. We know Google's being sued. They're trying to break that up. And so, I don't know, man. I think, and you take a look at what the CME expects, 59% believe that we're going to get a 50 basis point rate cut. 41% believe we're going to get a 25 basis point rate cut. I just think.
I'm just kidding. What do you think about the possibility of a 0.75? Is it completely off the table?
5%. Very.
And what do you say if that actually comes in?
If he cuts the rates by 75 basis points,
I'm not even talking about the market. I'm just talking about like the way the system works.
I think the markets will freak out. I think the markets would freak out. Why would he need to cut the rate 75 basis points if he doesn't know something?
I mean, obviously, he knows.
I'm saying this is how the traders are going to think. This is how the market's going to take the information. They're going to take the information and say, okay, what the hell is going on? How did we go from 25, maybe 50 to 75? Something must be wrong. I don't want to be in the market to find out. Let me pull money off the table. I think that is more likely to happen if we do get a 75 basis point rate cut.
Yeah. Let me be clear. It's not going to happen.
Well, okay. What's your percentage possibility? I said 5.
I think it's even less than that. I think maybe 2%.
Yeah.
And but no. My whole conclusion here is that if they do cut by 75 basis points, which is not realistic in my opinion, but if it does for some reason happen, it's an obvious favoritism or play for the incumbents, the Democratic Party, the presidential candidate, the executive cabinet, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. I mean, I think we'll come in.
Expect volatility Tuesday going into Wednesday, and I think when he speaks and gives his press conference, there's going to be a lot of eyes glued to that TV.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about Caspa. They had their KRC token launch. We're going to do a video, more in-depth analysis on that over the next couple of days, but we'll kind of touch on it today. But first, before we move forward, I'm going to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor, which is Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you run a business and you want to make sure your networking, IT, and your cybersecurity is the best it could possibly be, there is one company we would recommend to you, and that is Cam's We've been working with them for a very long time. They're absolutely amazing. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. And then this morning, I was caught. I was supposed to be prepping for the show, but instead, I was tapping away. Tap, tap. You know, this game is harder than it seems, you know? So this is me playing Flappy Bird. If you remember, you ever play Flappy Bird?
No, I never really got too much into Flappy Bird. I was
You were
on
the Crossy Roads
I was
guy.
Crossy Roads.
I like Flappy Bird.
I did play Flappy Bird at the arcades.
It's a fun game. It's kind of been dormant for the last 10 years, but they brought it back and they made it into a Web3 game, completely free to play, in part launched by a friend of the channel, Rob from Digital Asset News. He is part of that team. And so, guys, if you like Flappy Bird, we did pin the link to the top, join the Telegram, launch the game, and then once you get that egg that cracks that gives you the rewards, it allows you to join a community. Join the Sin City Crypto community. Let's play together. Let's earn rewards. Let's climb up the leader ranks because they will be doing an airdrop. I'm not sure what the airdrop is going to be, but it's going to be exciting. So as a community, we need to come together. And there's a bunch of other Coin Bureau's got one on there. I think Altcoin Daily's got one on there. We need to show out, man. We need to show out. So big shout out to the to Rob and the team with the Flappy Bird. I'm trying to work on the almanac, but might take my breaks playing Flappy Bird. And then I do want to share the big news here with Caspa. And so just amazing. Caspa has processed more than 3.4 million transactions in the 5 hours since the KRC-20 launch. No other proof of work has ever done this. Fully decentralized, secure, and massively scaled. I mean, that's a lot of transactions, bro, for a proof of work blockchain.
Yeah.
That is a lot of transactions. No issues on that end. There were a couple of issues with a certain wallet, and we'll go over that here in a second. But Rob, what's your takeaway from the launch over the weekend? I think we expected the Nacho token, right? That's Shy's cat, Nacho the cat. That token was pretty popular, right? A lot of people minted some tokens on that. But what's your takeaway from the launch over the weekend? Again, I'm gonna do a deeper video coming out the next 2 days, but very, very impressive what they did.
Yeah, it's from a developer standpoint, or I mean, even from a price standpoint, it's pretty exciting, right? Flash in the pan. Hey, you know what? All of a sudden you went from, hey, we can send from one to another to now, hey, look, we got smart contracts and you have DEX's ecosystem, developers can come and build. And so it really just is a pivotal moment in history, right? For Casper. And so hats off to them. But what I'm most excited about is what's going to be built down the road, right? And so the fact that we're in the earlier stages of the bull market, you could say that, this is really the beginning of the bull market. I mean, some people like to count the very bottom, but I don't really count that. I think that's just kind of the market being oversold when we saw Bitcoin down to, what was it, like 20,000, 18,000?
16.5.
16.5?
15.5.
So, that was just oversold and over panicked, and then it kind of rebounded back up to 20K. But I think that this is the early stages in the bull market, and what a perfect time to have, your utility expand the way that Caspa does. And it's one option that has very little competition, if any, realistically no competition. A full proof of work with functionality, use case, DEX's speed, throughput.
And we're not even at the 10 blocks per second that's coming soon.
Yeah, so round of applause and hats off to Caspa and their community. We've been kind of alluding to this coming up for a while. We've been looking forward to it. We've been talking to the Caspa team about it, and so the day's finally here. And you know what? There was no real issues, at least not at the core level. And so that's for that big of a milestone, huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
So really excited there. So
we do want to give a word of caution though to any of you that use the Casware wallet. This is from their team telling you to stop using their wallet. Stop minting, transfer the RBF, stop adding transaction fees, write down your seed phrase and your passphrase, close the browser and wait for further notice. Shai included a synopsis of this in his post, um, and it looks like they failed. They failed. It had nothing to do with the network, Caspa. It had nothing to do with Casplex, but it was a closed source wallet, and no one could figure out what the hell happened because, well, it's closed source. And so, if you, I know a few people from I saw a few comments about some people lost money with Casware. Man, that sucks. And it's just, some things are just out of your control, you know? But everything else I heard was great. So just keep an eye out. Just stop using this. Right?
Yeah. And it's also just a reminder, you know, if you come across something that's closed source, and I'm sure most of the people didn't even know that that was the case when they decided to adopt that wallet. But if something is closed source, you know, it's you don't know what's under the hood, right? And so what it does is it opens it up for developers, even the community, to look at, you know, what does the framework look like? Is there any vulnerabilities? And so, you know, there's a lot of passionate people within each community, particularly Caspa. And, you know, if you have an open source software, then, you know, as is almost all blockchains and a lot of the dApps or most of the dApps, you can go in and look at it. And the community would gladly, you know, for the devs and, you know, coders, things of that nature, they go in and look it over. And sometimes they're just out of sheer courtesy, and because they're part of the ecosystem and fan of the project, they'll just be like, "Hey, guys, I write code, or you know, I'm a developer. There's some issues here, but you can't do that if it's closed source." So
Yeah. One more thing on Caspa I want to share, then we'll move on. This is from Ski Bum Jim, I'm part of the Caspa community. Unmoved 2+ year supply for Caspa at all-time highs. So people are not moving their Caspa. We have some exchange listings coming down the pipeline for Caspa. One of them's happening on Wednesday. Excited for that one. It's going to be great. US-based exchange. Excellent. And so a lot of exciting things, man. You know, kind of the same position Cardano was in 2021, except Cardano's came at the very tail end of the bull market. This is happening before we even, I think, we see the big run up in the bull market. And so how high can Caspa go? Is $2-3 out of the question? I don't think so. I think it's maybe not the most likely, but I think if it hits $2-3, I would not be surprised. If it hits $5-6, I'd be very surprised. But for me, again, you know, you have your long term and your short term. Caspa is one you want to throw into your long term. Not saying you shouldn't take profits, but this is something that over the years, as the network matures, as more dApps, as DEXs are being built, as more builders are coming on the platform, it's only going to grow. And who knows, are we going to get to 100 blocks per second in the future? Potentially, yes. And so exciting times for Caspa in the community. I'm going to shift the conversation to Bitcoin. This is pretty big, man. When you think about it, Robin, how much money is being borrowed by nation states? President Bukele says El Salvador will no longer require external debt to finance its budget and has achieved financial independence. What percentage of that do you want to allocate to, hey, it's because they adopted a Bitcoin strategy or they made a legal tender? I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is pretty big, man, because when you have corporations like the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, that literally are the ones that lend governments money, but they have stipulations. And we know a few years ago, one of the stipulations was you can't have anything to do with Bitcoin. And El Salvador kind of gave them the middle finger. And today, I think they gave the rest of those IMF-style entities another middle finger. So big shout out to El Salvador. And then speaking of nation states, the Kingdom of Bhutan owns 13,000 Bitcoin, now worth $780 million. Now, you might have never heard of Bhutan. I've heard of it in passing, but I know nothing about it. And so imagine when you start getting into the more well-known countries with larger GDPs, countries in Europe, in Asia. And so this is just beginning. So when you see the thumbnail saying, is it over? It's not over. Price action might be down now, but you got to take a look under the hood. What is actually happening, right? Don't just say, oh, the car is making noises, the car is dead. You plug in the little thing, you get the codes, you go on Google, or you take it to a mechanic shop, like, okay, well, this is wrong, but this is still working great. The car is running efficiently, yada, yada, yada. And then so you can't just hear some beeping, see the check engine light come on and just throw the entire car away and say it's dead. You got to look under the hood. That being said, Robin?
Yeah. So, what's interesting is that, for Bhutan, and I was doing a little research on it. Bhutan, acquired their Bitcoin through a combination of crypto mining and strategic investments by its sovereign wealth investment arm. Druck Holding and Investments DHI is how they plus mining. So, this is far different from what we've seen from China and the U.S., where seizures and forfeitures. This is
They actually have it because they want it.
Exactly. And so, we see El Salvador, where their holdings at 5,000?
No, over 7,000.
So basically, you got two countries here climbing up the ranks. And so, how many more countries are going to get behind Bitcoin as far as like, hey, like let's carve out a area of our economic plan to involve cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin. And so super bullish. I know that I truly believe that when, let's just say Trump wins, and I don't want to say win, but if Trump were to win this election next year, when he gets into office in February, if he comes out in a hardline stance and says, look, we are going to buy Bitcoin regularly, keep what we have, and hodl everything for 20 years, I don't know how that doesn't create a massive price shock. And I just don't see any scenario where we don't see that $300,000 Bitcoin. And that's right around the corner. We're talking about February, five months, right? At most.
I'll put it to you this way. The fiscal year for at least the U.S. government begins on October 1st, the new fiscal year. New budgets. How do we allocate the money? I don't know about the rest of the countries around the globe when it starts, but hey, it's like the new year, right? I have goals and plans. I want to save $10,000 this year. I want to go on a trip here. I want to buy X amount of Bitcoin. You don't think governments are doing the same thing? I want to give a big shout out to Wicked X. Said, are the studio upgrades complete? This here soon will be a massive wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling LED wall. We got brand new cameras coming in, and so we are constantly upgrading the production quality for you guys watching. And it's thanks to people like Wicked X and everyone that supports this channel, as he did just upgrade to the hodler level.
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club, my friend. We appreciate all the support that you guys give us. Thank you very much.
And, we're always looking. We're still looking for that new whale member as well. It's been a while. It's been quite some time. Yeah. I know somebody out there is up in profits.
I don't know. Markets are down. Speaking of the markets, Robin, let's take a look.
All right. So Bitcoin back under the 58K mark, 57.8, and so where are we going to end up for Bitcoin this week? I'm not really too sure. A lot of the gains that we saw last week have been wiped away. We were right at that 60K, slightly above it for most of the week, and well, that's kind of been lost. But you look back at the month, still in this zone here, this sub 60K zone, and you know what? You look back on a year, and well, reminder, a year ago we were at 27,000. So all things said, keep in mind where we were at a year ago and where we're at now. But this consolidation that we've had, this tightening wedge here, and you know that there's the only thing I would say that my concern here is you got a tightening wedge. So you're in this price channel, and it's just getting more and more narrow, right? We're not quite dipping down to the 50K mark, but we are getting lower highs, so a little concerning. But I do think that a breakout is
it's a short-term price action, man.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, we know how crypto moves. One thing, and every single moving average, every indicator, every local high, higher low, lower this, it all goes down the drain. It doesn't matter, because you get one big announcement, you get, I don't know, a Trump win, because looking back at how crypto and assets have traded, anytime polls come out or something positive happens that kind of facilitates the idea that Trump will win, the markets move up. And otherwise, the markets move down. And so, whether you like it or not, the market is saying, we want this guy to win. We believe he'll be better for our portfolios. Not saying Kamala would be bad for the portfolios, but just look at what the markets are saying. And so,
What's your take? I wanted to move over to Ethereum. What's your take on Ethereum? Ethereum is really underperforming lately.
ETH is very undervalued.
Do you look at it as a concern, or do you look at it as
No.
a buying opportunity?
I look at it as a buying
Here you have in blue is the price of Ethereum. This is on a 1 year chart, right? And so it hasn't outperformed Bitcoin at all, not even for a small time window. It has underperformed Bitcoin all year long. And this goes back even further. If you were to take a look when the bear market started, it's been there. I mean, it's been there since 2022, right? I mean, for a brief moment,
that's how it always plays out. That's nothing new.
Yeah, but
Bitcoin's dominance grows in bear market.
but you look at some other projects. It's like look at Solana, for example. Solana, on the 1 year, on the year here, it's up from $18. I mean, you compare it to Bitcoin, and it's night and day here, right? And then you look, who's arguably Ethereum's biggest competitor?
Solana.
So Solana's outcompeting Ethereum. Bitcoin's outcompeting Ethereum. Binance, I mean, say what you will about it, but Binance is outcompeting Ethereum. And,
Let me ask you a question.
XRP is outcompeting.
Let me ask you a
Ethereum.
question. Do you think Ethereum's going anywhere?
No, but I think of it this way. Even though Ethereum isn't going anywhere, users are. Now the ETH will still be around. It's not going to die off. It's not going to go to zero. We're not going to see $800 Ethereum.
Do you think ETH makes a new all-time high?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's the problem?
But I don't know when. I think if it makes a new all-time high, it'll be late 2025, and I think that.
Can I argue that that's when most of altcoins will make their all-time
But
high?
here's what I think, right? Look here at the price. And so what I think is, Ethereum has a commanding lead against all alts, right? Remove Tether from the equation, right? Because that's realistically not an altcoin. That's just money on the sideline. So Ethereum's sitting at slightly above $250 billion, right?
Billion.
Quarter
Trillion, you're right. Sorry.
And the next up is Binance at 77 billion, Solana at 60 billion. So I think we do get a 2x out of Ethereum. We get that $500 billion market cap. And then you got Solana. I think it's just going to massively outperform. And I'll say it here. I'm guilty as charged, but I was hyper bullish on Ethereum, and I thought it would have performed better at this point. I thought with the ETFs was going to bring a lot of capital surging into the Ethereum ecosystem. I just haven't seen it yet. And
I was less bullish on it.
Yeah.
I thought, like Bitcoin has been around for a very long time. People can talk about it. It's got a narrative for it, right? People understand what it is, what purpose it'll serve in their portfolio. I don't think enough of those same people understand exactly what gives Ethereum its value. I think it's going to take more time to educate them. But everything happening on ETH, there's a reason. There's only one chain that BlackRock, Ondo is technically on Ethereum, but there's only one layer one that BlackRock decided to fund money into, and that was Ethereum.
But what I was expecting, and it started off that way, was Ethereum was trading the flows for Ethereum were very comparable to Bitcoin's flows on the ETFs. And what we saw at a Bitcoin was Bitcoin go from 44,000 down briefly down to 40,000. And then it took off up to 70,000, broke all-time highs. And so I was expecting something comparable. Maybe not quite as big of an upswing or a movement, but I did genuinely think that, hey, you know what? ETH's going to sell off a little bit and then off to the races. Maybe it doesn't get past all-time highs. Maybe it doesn't get that at 6,000 Ethereum this year, but I thought 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 was almost like a no-brainer, but it just hasn't played out. And maybe it comes late, but I still hold faith in Ethereum, right? And this isn't me abandoning my Ethereum. I haven't sold any of my Ethereum yet, and I was aggressively buying Ethereum over the last 60 days. And so part of me, I paused completely, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, do I want to go further down this rabbit hole, or I'm not sure. I'm 50-50 here, man. I just don't know what direction. I know that Ethereum's going to generate profits from its price now, but I just don't know if it's going to be underwhelming. I don't know if the likes of Solana and Cardano and other altcoins just make up too much ground, right? And you're better off this year. You've been better off holding everything. Solana, XRP. I mean, you would have been better off holding Doge this year than you would have Ethereum. And we're not even in the parabolic stages of the bull market. And so what is Ethereum outperformed?
You gotta remember, Robin, ETH, if the transactions are up there, ETH is inflationary. So I think that the move up will be a lot more rapid once network activity comes back. And you could take a look across the board.
But what if that network activity shifts over to Solana? That's my whole base case here. What if it's Solana? What if it's Caspa and Cardano and Binance? And what if that slice of the pie that we got so used to using Ethereum for DeFi and NFTs probably going to come late in the game. I think that NFTs will be back, and maybe not in the same form that we got used to them, or at least in the last cycle. But I think NFTs are people taking lots of profit. They're up in their projects, and they want to go buy, more risk on assets. And I think that is exactly what NFTs are for, right? Or at least that's the box they check the best. And so NFTs come late. And so for Ethereum to get that big run up, it needs DeFi. And what else does it need? I mean, and it's leaving. It's leaving. The metaverse was extremely strong for Ethereum last bull market.
Let me ask you a question.
I don't think metaverse comes back.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think the sum of all the treasuries and private debt that could be collateralized and tokenized on Ethereum is larger than the DeFi and NFTs and meme coins?
I just don't think it's here yet. And I think the promise of it is exciting.
But isn't the idea, though, to get allocations to these before they go up, before it gets here?
Yeah. So. But my concern is, well, I want to make money now.
Well, then don't.
And we're in a bull market. And so my thesis, that's what I'm on the fence. Because my thesis originally was, what a beautiful time to get into Ethereum. It's about to get this surge of liquidity. You're about to get all this money coming in from Wall Street. And on top of that, we're going into the bull market. It's going to outperform Bitcoin. And yet it's just had a failure to launch, right? It hasn't expanded on that narrative. The ETF is not growing at all, realistically. And then on top of that, the network itself users are leaving and going elsewhere. And so for me, I don't know, man. I'm 50-50, bro. I'm about to take this week and this next weekend, maybe the next 2-3 weeks, and really just evaluate, do I want to be in Ethereum or do I want to move that allocation elsewhere? I'm not exactly sure yet.
So whatever you don't want in Ethereum, I'll buy it from you, okay? We'll do an OTC deal.
Okay.
I'll take all you eat.
For sure.
I do want to share so I mentioned at the beginning of the show, in partnership with Lux Algo, we launched a brand new indicator. Super excited about this one. It is called the Liquidity Flow Index. It is an oscillator, as you can see here, with a histogram. And what it does two things. It plots your money inflows and money outflows. That is your green and red histogram. It also plots, three things actually. So second thing, it also plots the price sentiment, right? the sentiment of the market. So it measures how is the market feeling. We talk about this all the time. This is what Robin uses. He's not the biggest pattern trader or indicator. He likes sentiment. Well, Robin, you can now use the liquidity flow index to look at where the sentiment is. And I've identified a pretty simple trading strategy that when the sentiment crosses above this midline, right, where the histogram goes from red to green, when it crosses that to the upside, you get in, you're going to make money. Now, of course, nothing is 100% accurate. These are all probabilities. And when it crosses to the downside, you can short it and make money that way as well. But what I also love about this indicator is you see these hollowed out candles, and I'll zoom in on one of them. We talk about liquidations. Now, if you just put this indicator on your chart, it'll tell you if a candle had a massive amount of liquidations. And typically when it does move back to the middle, at least to the median, right? And so here you can see this candle here on August 5th. Of course, that was a Black Monday event with the carry trade in Japan. It shows you that there was a mass amount of long liquidations. And guess what? The price jumped back up. We go back, you go back a few more times, same thing here. Liquidations to the downside, price moved up. Liquidations to the downside, price moved up. These were your short liquidations. And so it's simple, it's easy. You can put this thing on your chart. You can see where's the sentiment at? Where's money flowing? Is it flowing in? Is it flowing out? What's the trend looking like? And have we seen large liquidations? Feel free to back test it yourself, but I do have a link in the description of this video. This is the landing page. You can get access to it. It kind of gives you the brief explanation of what I just explained to you. So this is something I've been using every single day. If you want to try it out, feel free to try it out. You'll be supporting the channel as well. And so super excited about that, man. And so, but you take a look at the daily, the price sentiment is still in the green for Bitcoin. So will we get a bounce off this midline? If we do, the last time we got a bounce off the midline was the closest thing was here, where we saw a little bit of downside and then the price spiked back up. And if you were to enter in, I'll give you just one example. When the sentiment moved below the midline, which was right on this candle right here, if you were to enter into a short position, even on the very bottom, and you went all the way down to the wick, you would have made a profit of 25%. And multiply that by however many leverage positions or how much leverage you use to trade, you would have made pretty good money. Here, if you would have traded on the upside and you would have entered in when the price sentiment moved cleared above the midline, you would have made 7% in a choppy market. And so I was looking for ways to get an edge in trading and when to enter, when to exit. And we believe that this new one will definitely help you. So super excited about that.
And then big shout out to some of the new faces we've seen in the chat today. We got Doc Williams, D Energy, G.I. Joe, Dang Man, Objective Reality, and all of you. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Credit. Also, Since Quest, also in here as well. So.
Since Quest. Interesting. Okay. Well, this week should be very.
I think there's gonna be volatility.
There's definitely gonna, of course.
There's gonna be some volatility, so make sure you're tuned in. I am very hopeful we still get back on track to that 60K plus range. I do think this is still. I know I'm broken record here, but I do believe this is the last pullback before the breakout. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but that's how I'm approaching my portfolio, and that's how I have cash on the side, and I'm still holding strong on that narrative. I encourage you to zoom out and look back and know that we are in a bull market 4-year cycle, and we are over 2x where we were a year ago on Bitcoin, and so don't let these short-term price consolidations and this channel that we've been in for a while as far as the price fool you. Money is to be made. And once the markets get really boring and people are going to get burnt out of the price, a lot of times that's when you get the big breakout. So that's how I'm approaching this week. Volatility, hopefully to the upside. And that's what I'm betting on.
Man, you just expand your time horizon a little bit. Don't freak out. It's just temporary. With that being said, Rocco. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It was a great show today. We're going to have an even better show tomorrow. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Love you. Peace.
Sin City, crypto, everybody know we here for entertainment and info, gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in, for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David, I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon and to the solar. Won't don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.